with public comment. We did not have anyone sign up to make a public comment on the sign-up form. Are any members of the public that are out there in the gallery wishing to address the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee with a public comment? Going once, going twice. I'm not seeing anyone, so that will conclude our public comment period. I've got a proposed consent agenda that we'll begin with. I'm going to read off a list of those items, and if any of those items need to come off of consent for discussion, questions, comments, recusals, anything of that nature, just let me know after I read them. So the proposed consent agenda begins with Committee Item 1. This is RS 2024-942. Committee Item 2, this is RS 2024-943. Committee Item 3, this is RS 2024-944. Committee Item 5, this is RS 2024-946. Committee Item 6, RS 2024-947. Committee Item 7, RS 2024-948. Committee Item 9, BL 2024-639. And Committee Item 10, BL 2024-640. I'll read the captions so you'll have another opportunity to notice anything that you need to pull off, but do any of those items need to come off? All right, I'm going to now read the captions. All right, first we have Committee Item 1, RS 2024-942 by Prep T. Porterfield, Gamble, and Parker. This approves an intergovernmental agreement by and between the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for the repair of existing pavement failures and resurfacing of 5.26 miles of Granny White Pike. Committee Item 2, this is RS 2024-943 by Johnston, Nash, Sepulveda, Porterfield, Gamble, and Parker. This approves a proposal of the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for NDOT to maintain traffic control devices in connection with TDOT's pedestrian and signal improvement project on State Route 11 from Haywood Lane to McNally Drive. Committee Item 3, this is RS 2024-944 by Porterfield, Gamble, Parker, and Welsh. This is a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure, the Planning Department of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, the Metropolitan Transit Authority of Nashville and Davidson County, and the Regional Transportation Authority of Middle Tennessee, collectively the parties, to establish the parties' mutual understanding of their respective responsibilities and the development of a multimodal mobility master plan. Committee Item 5, this is RS 2024-946 by Porterfield and Parker. This accepts a donation from MTP Paseo Phase 3 Land, LLC, in the amount of $25,000 as a contribution towards the Pie Town Mobility Study regarding roadway infrastructure improvements in the relevant area. Committee Item 6, this is RS 2024-947 by Porterfield, Gamble, and Parker. This approves a participation agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure and GS Gallatin Pike Apartments Owner, LLC, for construction of a sidewalk in front of 1401 Gallatin Pike North, Nashville, Tennessee, 37115. Committee Item 7, this is RS 2024-948 by Coupin. A resolution authorizing 4th Avenue Property LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 107 4th Avenue North. Committee Item 9, this is BL 2024-639 by Toombs, Gamble, and Parker. This authorizes the abandonment of alley number 1089 right-of-way from Unnamed Road to Woodfolk Avenue and alley number 1090 right-of-way from Haney Avenue to alley 1089. Lastly, we have Committee Item 10. This is BL 2024-640 by Gamble and Parker. This authorizes the Metropolitan Government to accept new public water and sanitary sewer force mains, fire hydrant assembly, and easements for property located at Cane Ridge Road, unnumbered, also known as Parks at Cane Ridge, Phase 2A. So do any of those items need to come off of our consent agenda for discussion, questions, comments, clarification? All right, seeing none, could we get a motion on the proposed consent agenda? All right, it's been moved. Did I hear a second? If a committee member would please second the proposed consent agenda. If a committee member would please second the proposed. Thank you, several seconds. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? All right, I had 7. All right, our first item not on consent is Committee Item 4. This is RS 2024-945 by Parker, Gadd, and Welsh. This designates United States Bicycle Route 80 through Nashville. The Nashville Department of Transportation has partnered with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, Bike Walk Tennessee, and the Adventure Cycling Association to designate a bicycle route in Davidson County using existing roads, greenways, and highways. Could we get a motion and a second, please? All right, properly moved and seconded. So I removed this from consent because I got a couple of questions from a member of the public and was just hoping that someone from NDOT could maybe come up and answer those questions. So I see Mr. Purvis, if you could please introduce yourself, sir.
Howdy. Matt Purvis. I'm the council liaison for the Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure.
Thank you, sir. So the two questions that I had, I believe there's at least one additional U.S. bike route through Nashville, which is Route 23, which runs north-south. So the question was, does this impact that route? It doesn't supplant that route. It's my read that it's just a new east-west route in addition to Route 23 that already exists. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. And for these bicycle routes, when we do these agreements with ACA or whoever, is any signage required? And if the answer is no, do we intend to do any signage for these bicycle routes?
So this legislation does not necessitate any signage, but it authorizes it technically. I'm not sure that's it. I'm not sure we need that. I think we already have the authorization to put signs up, but it does authorize it. Doesn't necessitate it. As far as putting signage up, I think there'd probably be further conversations with those that have sought us out to do this for kind of a funding mechanism for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on item 4, RS 2024-945? All right, thank you, Mr. Purvis. Seeing no further discussion, we will go to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? All right, recommend approval, 7 in favor, 0 against. All right, our last item not on consent is Committee Item 8. This is RS 2024-949 by Porterfield and Parker. This accepts a grant from the State of Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewerage Services to provide a lead service line inventory and replacement plan. Could we get a motion and a second on this, please? Properly moved and seconded. Thank you. So I pulled this off of consent. A lot of y'all probably know that customers throughout the Metro Water Service area are getting letters in the mail about the need to identify what their service line is made of. So there's a sort of forthcoming mandate to have all of those replaced. And Metro Water is working through an inventory. And I was just hoping to take this opportunity to just hear from someone at Water just a little bit about where we are with the lead inventory, how we're interfacing with the public, and how this grant opportunity might help us move the ball on that project. If you'd please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Mary Peoples, Metro Water Services Council Liaison. Thank you for allowing us to speak on this legislative project we've got going. It's going to be a long-term thing, so we want to make sure you're informed and ready for each step that we have to offer along the way. Tonight, we have a subject matter expert I'm going to bring before you to answer the questions that you may have. His name is Dr. Manny Ojo. He's a regulatory manager for Metro Water Services, and he's overseeing this project, which is about 10 to 13 years. So I'm going to bring him to let him speak on behalf of the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
How are you all?
Good.
Well, the project is just about...
If you could be a little closer to the microphone, please, sir.
I've never done this before. Please pardon me for that.
Thank you.
Well, the lead inventory project is to do inventory of what we have in the entire Davidson County under Metro Water Services, service. And then once we get that done, we have to do the lead service replacement itself. But we have up to 3 years to build up a replacement plan, which is going to be approved by the state before we start the replacements. And the money the grant that we got is to use a predictive modeling system with our contractor, CDM Smith, the engineering company, to be able to predict what we have where, so we don't have to go through the entire county. And that predictive system has saved us about 60,000 locations that we don't need to go to.
Thank you, sir. And so is this focused on the portion from the water delivery system to the meter, or is this focused on the meter to the home? Because I know those are kind of two different buckets we're having to work on.
It is both of them.
Okay.
We have to identify the city side and the customer side.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from committee members? I see Councilmember Allen, Cash, and then Spain. Councilmember Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you. I think it's just important for the public to hear that, it's good that we're doing this and that we're finding out and we're going to replace it. I would like for the water department to just talk about the protections that are in place now, just to ensure that there's not lead leaching into the water until we get the pipes replaced.
Okay, currently, our water does not have lead because we feed what they call polyauthophosphate, which is a chemical that coats any materials that is of the piping. In that case, the water is not actually making any contact with the materials, lead, copper, or whatever you may have in there. So that provides that protection. The reason why we're going back to take everything out is because the EPA mandates that we take them out of the ground completely.
Thank you. Councilmember Cash. Oh, my apologies. You're on, sir.
I'm just curious, I'm sorry if I missed this. What is the source of the mandate? Where is it coming from?
I believe it's EPA, but
EPA, yes.
Yes,
the
sir.
EPA.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to ask. Thank you.
You're welcome.
and then I had Councilmember Spain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said that the study is countywide, so it includes areas outside Metro Water Service Area?
Well, I said countywide because I know we have some areas within the county that we are not serving. Those are the places like Madison. Those places we can't speak for them.
Okay, so, and you may not know this, but do you know if those areas are doing similar studies, like, for instance, Harper Valley Utility District?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To the point that Councilmember Allen brought up about just the public's awareness of what's being done to address lead potential in the system today, Metro Water does do regular testing. You can find in the annual water quality report, lead levels extremely low. So that should give folks confidence that what we're doing right now is working, but this mandate does require us to do even more. So it's great to see the department working diligently to meet that mandate. Any further questions for our guest? All right, seeing none, thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right, any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, so we'll go to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? All right, recommend approval, 7 in favor, 0 against. And so for the last item here under departmental updates, NDOT requested to come and talk with us a little bit about their winter preparedness for this year. As y'all remember, last year we had a pretty significant event that I think tested the boundaries of the policy and procedures that were in place. So we've invited NDOT here. Mr. Jones, if you'd please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about how preparation's going this year.
Philip Jones, I'm the Assistant Director at NDOT. And I told the committee I would come back this year before winter actually set in and we had any events start. Just kind of wanted to give you an update. We've got 18 of the 37 trucks that we've ordered. Expect 2 more by the end of this month, but we actually expect the 18 more by the end of March. But now you've heard me come before y'all and talk about the supply chain demand holding us up this long. It's been another delay because we were promised we'd have them by September, and it's not, everybody kind of, well, why are we doing business with that vendor? It's not really set up like that. It's just been a matter of the vendor getting the chassis have been delayed. It's been a whole stream of things, but this has been, I can give you dates from when we ordered them. We've tracked them. There's a weekly meeting and call where we've tried to get these trucks in. But on the flip side of that, we've got 40 trucks, General Services fleet has worked closely with us. We've got our older trucks up, ready to go. We've got 40 trucks good to go. We've got 9,300 tons of salt. I mean, we're in good shape for this winter. Everyone should have received the new routes. We did change our process. You did see where we went from 28 primary routes to now 31 primary routes, 31 secondary, and we also have now a post-secondary. So in place of taking call-ins where we're trying to process, we spent several months going through and identifying the post-secondary, went through crash data. Anywhere in the last 5 years we've had any incidents, we went through and identified those and created 18 additional routes. Along with that, that left us a little room. So if we find or you all identify something that needs to go to that post-secondary, we can take a look at it. We've got some room to add there. Along with that, we're doing a pilot program this year, and it's for a 4-inch snow, the threat of a 4-inch snow or greater. And that includes, I've got 20 extra trucks, and these are if you're familiar, these are your 450, 550s. These are trucks with plows that do not have the capability of salting, but they will be able to go in and push out. That way, if we get in a scenario like we had last year, we'll at least be able to provide some service to those areas for the connection to those neighborhoods. But we basically went from 1,800 lane miles on our primaries to 2,475. So that's pretty big. That's a significant increase. We went from 56 routes to 80 routes. So we're really expecting. The only thing that we're still lacking on, we've rerouted everything. If as fleet, and I think you all are in on the decision, as we identify and get the ability in these trucks to track the location of these trucks, that'll give us the ability to give a real-time tracking of where the trucks are at and what routes they're on. That's kind of where we're at today. I feel good about this winter. You know, any typical event, if we get into another type event we had last year, the scenario will be the same. I'll just be completely honest with you. We'll have better, we'll cover more, but you're still not looking, we're not set up to clear and salt every street in the city. It's a one-time event in 10 years. Probably wouldn't be a good decision to go that route.
Thank you, sir. And so I heard that we've got 40 trucks that we could get out at this point, including some of the older ones that have been kind of prepped up for this potential. How many did we have active in that? I forgot what month that event was.
38.
We had 38, so we've got 40 now? Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Jones? I see Councilmember Cash, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. A couple of things. You said that some of the plan, some of the response will be based on incidents, and like I guess traffic or car accidents. And I guess I'm curious. My understanding is increasingly in the last several years where that data is coming from, or what we can rely on, are the traffic accidents or car accidents that cause bodily injury or worse, not just necessarily any automobile accident. I guess do you feel good about the data that you have on incidents to determine those like critical points?
Yes, sir, I do, because I feel like the majority, and you got to remember, about 450 lane miles of what we do on our primaries are TDOT routes. So, but I feel confident because we went through and done an analysis over the last 5 years of any accident, any request coming through Hub, and that's kind of how we built and maybe extended some of our primary routes, our secondary routes, and created our post-secondary routes.
Gotcha. And I'm going to ask about like one of the things with the last event that happened in my district, but I know that there are probably other examples like this, so I'm not just asking about my one example. I mean, there were all kinds of issues, but the one that I was most troubled with was there was this hill. I don't even know if it's post-secondary or like how we would categorize it. It's not a main street, although it's really pretty close to one. And it was a steep hill that I had at least 3 cars that went down that hill and went into a property and into the house. Not into the house, but like hit stuff on that property. And, I know that getting ice removed and salted and all that, I guess my question is if there are places that we know that are especially like steep like that could cause some damage if a car, is can't control itself on it. If there are steep places that we know are going to be dangerous and would be closed to passage rather than, assuming that we can't get there and ice it quickly. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. You're talking about closing the street for that?
Correct.
Yeah. The problem that we've ran into, and it's definitely, it's a consideration and we think through it, but we typically don't close any street because you can't control on the short term. If we were to get into a long-term event like the last event, we can look at doing some temporary closures, but we basically don't do it because of emergency services. You have to really think through when you start just running out and closing roads. We have a lot of freeze-thaw cycles in this area that I know you know of. So that's why that's not a typical practice for us. We want to get out and pre-treat those. I feel good about, and I want everybody to look through these maps we've identified, but I feel good about what we're going to go out, we're going to pre-treat, and what we're going to treat on our primaries.
Okay, and another thing, I know in certain places that I'm talking about, there are like steep incline signs. Part of that pre-work might be making sure that those are visible and not covered by, tree growth or bush growth or something like that. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions from committee members or those in attendance? Councilmember Horton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and thank
Vice Chair
you.
Horton.
Thank you. And thank you to NDOT for being here. I know a lot of our constituents in District 20 will be excited for how prepared we are for winter weather, which hopefully doesn't arrive. One issue that we had in our district this past year was NDOT would come and clear a path pretty quickly, for example, on Robertson in our district. And then we had a lot of water mains burst, which then coated the street in ice. From your perspective, is it worthwhile perhaps to have some type of automatic communication from Metro Water if a water main bursts and potentially coats the street in ice to have NDOT come back out and clear that street again?
We do. We work very closely with water. We work very closely with WeGo. I'm not aware of any issue with communication.
Yeah, it was very fast last year, so I appreciate that, and
Yes.
It's encouraging to hear that that's the case as a matter of course. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you, sir, for all the preparation work y'all are doing and for joining us here to talk about it.
Thank you.
All right, I don't have any more business for us, and we are at 4:30, which is cutting into planning's time. So I will call this meeting adjourned.